Thank you for joining me on this profound journey through the mysteries of analytical psychology and the rare, superior feminine vibration. May this knowledge serve as the wake-up call your soul needed to never again accept emotional crumbs or cheap validation from the outside world. Always remember, your vibration is your energetic signature in the universe, and it determines everything you attract and everything you manifest on Earth. Walk with your head held high, your heart open, and your consciousness awakened, for you are a masterpiece of Carl Jung in motion. Are you ready to embrace your high vibration and change your life today? Subscribe to the channel to seal your commitment to your evolution. Have you ever entered a room and felt a presence that even in silence seemed to dominate the entire environment with an invisible force? There are women who operate at such a high frequency that conventional psychology can barely explain it, requiring a dive into the concepts of Carl Jung. These women don't follow the masses. They possess rare signs that reveal a profound individuation process and an unwavering spiritual connection. In the American market, where performance is everything, this woman stands out for being the exact opposite. She is pure essence and truth. If you feel your energy is shifting and want to understand these mysteries, subscribe to the channel now so you don't miss this journey. Jung stated that the journey to wholeness requires a person to confront their own shadows and shed the social masks imposed by the world. A woman of high vibration is one who has passed through this purifying fire and emerged with a clarity that startles the unprepared and enchants the conscious. She doesn't seek attention. She emanates a natural light that comes from resolving her darkest and most painful inner conflicts. This radiance is not aesthetic. It is a spiritual authority that tells the world she can no longer be manipulated by crumbs. Understanding these three rare signs will change how you perceive your own worth and how you interact with the universe. Most people live in a state of relentless pursuit of external validation, trying to fill deep holes in their souls with likes and applause. However, the woman who has reached a high vibration has discovered that the treasure everyone seeks outside is kept in the silence of herself. She stopped competing, stopped proving her worth, and began to simply inhabit her own skin with an almost divine dignity. This paradigm shift is what makes her so rare and at the same time so magnetic to real opportunities and connections. What we will reveal today is not just psychology, it's a map to female sovereignty that few women dare to tread. Often, this woman is misunderstood by society because she breaks all the invisible contracts of submission and constant pleasing that are expected. She is not difficult by temperament, she is selective by consciousness, knowing exactly where to place her vital energy so that it continues to flow. Carl Jung would describe her trajectory as the peak of psychic maturity, where the ego finally bows to the wisdom of the inner master. This alignment generates behavioral signs that are unmistakable to those who have eyes to see and sensitivity to feel the vibrations. Prepare for an awakening, because you may discover that you already possess these signs and have not yet had the courage to acknowledge them. By the end of this video, you will have a new lens through which to view your own life and the powerful women who cross your path daily. Each chapter of this script was designed to deconstruct illusions of weakness and rebuild your perception of what it truly means to have power. High vibration is not a static destination, but a state of continuous presence that demands courage, truth, and a total renunciation of mediocrity. Let's delve into the first rare sign, which redefines the concept of loneliness and transforms it into a portal of absolute power. Do you consider yourself a woman who values her peace more than the approval of others? Share your opinion in the comments below. The first rare sign of a high-vibration woman is the way she embraces solitude, transforming isolation into absolute sovereignty. In Jungian psychology, the ability to be alone without feeling lonely is the definitive hallmark of a healthy and integrated psyche. She doesn't seek company to escape herself, but selects presences that add to her already existing inner peace. This woman has discovered that the portal to her personal power only opens when she closes the door to the noise of the world. Solitude, for her, is not a punishment or a lack, but the throne where she governs her own mind. One of the most drastic changes occurs when she simply stops explaining herself to people who lack the capacity to understand her. She realized that constantly giving justifications is a way of surrendering her personal power to those who only seek to control or judge her. If she decides not to attend an event or end a relationship, her decision is final and doesn't require a detailed explanation of her reasons. This silence about her inner motivations generates an aura of mystery and respect that few can penetrate without prior invitation. She inhabits her truth with such firmness that the opinions of others become background noise with no practical relevance. By establishing clear boundaries, she stops justifying why those boundaries exist, treating them as non-negotiable facts of her own sovereign existence. She leaves places that drain her energy with the same ease as someone leaving a burning room. There's no drama, no endless arguments, just the strategic retreat of someone who values their vibrational frequency above social conventions. This woman no longer accepts being the emotional dumping ground for friends or family who refuse to evolve on their own. Her presence is a privilege, and she knows that the economy of the soul demands that she spend her time wisely. Her disinterest in gossip, female rivalry, or the pursuit of social approval is a stark sign that she has transcended the common level of the masses. She doesn't feel the need to diminish another woman to feel superior, because she knows her light doesn't depend on anyone's shadow. Female competition, so common in low-vibration environments, seems to her like a childish and exhausting game that offers no real prizes. She celebrates the success of others with sincerity, because her validation comes from within, from the sacred encounter with her own Jungian essence. This emotional independence terrifies those who still live enslaved by appearances and the constant need to be seen and praised. This chosen solitude acts as a natural filter, keeping away emotional predators and superficial people who cannot bear the depth of her silence. It becomes a magnet for what is true, because only what has substance can remain beside someone so authentic. Jung said that solitude is to the spirit what food is to the body, and this woman nourishes herself with it daily. She emerges from her periods of retreat with renewed strength and an intuition that cuts through illusions like a sharp blade. Have you ever felt that being alone gave you more strength than any party or conversation? Sign up to learn how to cultivate this power. Many women spend their entire lives apologizing for being who they are and for needing space to breathe and grow. The high-vibration woman has broken this cycle of psychological submission, understanding that her no is a complete sentence that requires no additions. She doesn't feel guilty for prioritizing her mental health, even if it means disappointing the unrealistic expectations of those around her. This firmness doesn't come from arrogance, but from a deep respect for the sacred temple that is her own life and energy. For Jung, this is the exercise of the ego in service of the self, protecting the soil where the soul should flourish. When she stops justifying her boundaries, the world around her begins to automatically reorganize itself, filtering out those who truly value her. Those who benefited from her lack of boundaries will be the first to complain and call her selfish or difficult to deal with. However, she receives these criticisms as confirmations that she is on the right path to her own liberation and inner sovereignty. She understands that true love does not require the sacrifice of identity, and whoever asks for that is operating on a frequency of control. Her peace is no longer for sale, and the price to enter her inner circle is absolute mutual respect. This stance of non-justification saves an immense amount of psychic energy that was previously wasted on useless and exhausting debates. She uses this surplus energy to create, to study, and to delve deeper into her own journey of healing and self-knowledge. The American market values confidence, and this woman exudes a confidence that is not performative, but rather the result of total integrity. She does not compromise her values to fit into groups, preferring dignified isolation to integration into environments that demand her fragmentation. She is whole, and her wholeness is what makes her such a rare and transformative presence in the modern world. A woman with a high vibration understands that boundaries are the skin of the soul, and that without them, she would be devoured by the endless demands of the collective. Jung warned about the danger of being swallowed by the masses, and she uses her boundaries as a shield that guarantees her individuation. She doesn't fear being judged as antisocial because her social life is based on the quality of exchanges, not the quantity of contacts. Each decision to distance herself is an act of self-love that reinforces her connection with her inner compass and her mission. She walks with the lightness of someone who doesn't carry the weight of others' opinions on her tired shoulders. This clarity about her own space allows her to be much more generous and present when she consciously chooses to be with someone. Because she doesn't feel obligated to be there, her commitment is total, sincere, and devoid of resentment hidden by social obligation. High vibration people sense this difference and are drawn to this transparency that doesn't try to hide intentions or manipulate feelings. She is a living example that freedom begins from within, the moment you stop giving explanations. Do you have trouble saying no without making 1,000 excuses? Share your experience in the comments so we can discuss it. The second rare sign is a profound silence she carries, a silence not for hiding, but for observing and discerning. While most people talk compulsively to fill an existential void and avoid encountering themselves, she inhabits the vacuum with peace. This silence acts as a psychic mirror for those around her, revealing the insecurities and shadows of those who cannot bear stillness. Jung explained that people project onto others what they cannot accept in themselves, and this woman becomes the target of these projections. Her silent presence forces others to look at their own inner noise. She is often labeled as cold or arrogant, but that's merely the interpretation of those immersed in emotional chaos and neediness. Her clarity bothers those who live for performance and social masks because she doesn't engage in superficial conversations and polite lies. She doesn't smile out of obligation, nor does she agree with what she doesn't believe in just to maintain a false harmony in the social environment. This commitment to truth makes her a disruptive presence, capable of awakening or deeply irritating those comfortable in unconsciousness. She is a living reminder that it's possible to exist without the constant effort of pleasing everyone. Her silence is a powerful tool that allows her to perceive nuances of reality that go unnoticed by most distracted people. She reads between the lines, senses the intentions behind words, and recognizes the vibe of a place even before someone starts speaking. This keen perception allows her to silently withdraw from toxic situations before damage is done to her psyche. She doesn't need to argue to prove she's right. She simply moves towards what is consistent with herself. Those who are genuine feel safe by her side, but those who live on appearances feel constantly watched and unmasked. Jung stated that the encounter of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is a reaction, both are transformed. The high-vibration woman is the catalyst for this transformation, often without uttering a single aggressive or direct word to the other. The discomfort she generates is, in fact, an invitation from the universe for the other to also seek their own healing and inner truth. She does not take responsibility for the other's reaction, understanding that each person sees the world through the filter of their own projected shadow. If she awakens anger or envy, she knows that this says a lot about the person feeling it and almost nothing about who she is. To inhabit this silence requires immense courage, for the modern world pressures us to always be connected and producing constant informational noise. She chooses the inner connection, the listening to what Jung called the voice of the daimon, or an inner guide, who only speaks in the stillness of the mind. This alignment makes her unshakable in the face of criticism, for she has already heard everything she needed to in the silence of her own meditation and introspection. She is the eye of the storm, maintaining her calm, while everything around her seems to crumble into unnecessary dramas and conflicts. Has someone's silence ever bothered you to the point where you felt judged? Sign up to understand the power of projection. When a high-vibration woman enters a room, she rarely goes unnoticed by the shadows of others, becoming a lightning rod for projections. Because she is at peace with her own shadow, she reflects back to others the parts of themselves that are still at war and need attention. Insecure people feel an inexplicable desire to criticize her or find flaws in her impeccable conduct to validate their own pain. Jung called this transference, where the individual projects their fears, envy, and anger onto another so as not to have to face them alone. She understands this phenomenon and does not allow the poison of others to penetrate her heart. This woman is often called cold by those who confuse clarity and firmness with a lack of emotion or human empathy. The truth is that she possesses a much deeper and more functional empathy, one that doesn't get carried away by drama, but focuses on solutions and truth. She doesn't cry with you to keep you in the hole. She extends the hand of conscience so that you can learn to get out on your own. This kind of strength is incomprehensible to those who only seek comfort and validation for their own weaknesses and chronic victimhood. She loves freely, not dependently, and this free love is what most frightens the needy ego. The envy she inspires isn't about what she possesses materially, but about the psychic freedom she displays in every simple gesture. Women still trapped in roles of pleasing husbands, bosses and friends feel the weight of their own chains when they see her walk freely. The hatred that may arise against her is often the cry of an imprisoned soul that lacks the courage to break its own contracts of submission. She walks elegantly through this minefield of others' emotions without needing to defend herself or counterattack to maintain her position. Her sovereignty is her shield, and her consciousness is her sword, making her untouchable by low frequencies. Jung said that everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves, and she is the unwitting teacher of this process. Those who decide to observe the reason for the discomfort she generates end up having the chance for an unprecedented spiritual awakening in their lives. She makes no effort to awaken anyone. The simple fact that she exists in her maximum potential is enough to shake the structures of falsehood. In the American market, where authenticity is becoming the new gold, this woman is the silent leader of a new era of consciousness. She inspires not by what she says, but by who she is, and that is the highest form of leadership. Understanding the mirror effect is liberating because you stop carrying the guilt for the disproportionate reactions others have towards you. If you are a high-vibration woman, learn to observe others' projections with scientific curiosity instead of intense emotional pain. You are merely the stage where others enact their own internal conflicts, and you have the right to close the curtains when the show becomes toxic. Maintain your shine, because those who have their own light will always bother those who prefer to live in the shadows of collective mediocrity. Have you ever been called cold simply for being clear about how you feel? Share your story with us. The third rare and perhaps most liberating sign is the total refusal to enter into the archetypal game of savior and wounded victim. Carl Jung warned about the danger of inflating our ego by believing we have a messianic mission to fix another person's life. The high-vibration woman understands that each soul has its own learning time, and that interfering with it is an act of spiritual arrogance. She doesn't carry the emotional problems of others on her shoulders because she knows that this would hinder the necessary growth of the one who suffers. She offers support but never assumes the responsibility that belongs exclusively to the other person on their journey. This woman also abandoned the illusion that there is a Prince Charming, a master or an external savior who will come to rescue her from her challenges. She has taken full ownership of her happiness and her financial and emotional security, becoming her own ultimate authority and validation. In the United States market, female empowerment is much talked about, but she lives it in practice through unwavering psychic self-sufficiency. She doesn't enter relationships out of neediness, but out of overflowing love, which completely changes the power dynamic in any relationship she chooses to have. Those who need nothing from others are the ones who can offer the purest and most selfless love. Her refusal to be saved makes her immune to manipulators and narcissists who seek vulnerable victims to exert their games of control and emotional dominance. Because she doesn't expect anyone to fill her voids, she quickly detects any attempt at seduction based on false promises of external completeness. She is a fortress of healthy boundaries, where love is seen as a partnership of two whole beings and not as the meeting of two needy halves. This emotional maturity is rare because it requires her to have faced her own dark night of the soul and found her light alone in the abyss. She does not fear solitude, therefore she does not accept relationships of dependence or mutual rescue. Jung would describe this woman as someone who integrated her animus. She harnesses her inner masculine side, becoming capable of providing herself with the necessary structure and discernment. She doesn't project her power onto men, she inhabits it, making her a formidable companion and an impossible adversary for tyrants. She discourages victimhood in her social circle, being a living example that it is possible to transcend trauma through personal responsibility and awareness. Her relationships are clean, based on clear agreements and an admiration born of freedom. Not an obsessive need for protection, she is the captain of her soul and the mistress of her destiny, walking with an authority that emanates from within. For her, love is not rescue, but a celebration of shared existence between individuals who respect and honor each other in their sacred individualities. This shift in perspective avoids years of suffering in toxic relationships disguised as romance, but which are merely prisons of mutual codependency. She teaches others to treat themselves well by treating herself with ethical rigor and unconditional love that does not allow intrusions. By refusing the role of savior, she gives others the greatest gift possible, the dignity of facing their own shadows and growing. Do you feel like you attract people who always want to be saved by you? Subscribe to the channel to break that pattern. Emotional sovereignty is the state where the emotions of others no longer determine your internal climate and daily actions. A high-vibration woman has reached this level of mastery, where she observes the storms of others without being shipwrecked by them out of pure, blind empathy. Carl Jung called this self-centeredness, where the ego ceases to be the noisy master and becomes a faithful servant of profound inner wisdom. She no longer reacts to provocations because she understands that reaction is the hook the other person uses to steal her vibrational frequency. Her calmness is not passivity. It is the result of an inner strength that no longer needs to shout to be felt. She has become her own authority, meaning that social norms and family expectations no longer weigh on her conscience. She consults herself before making any important decision, ignoring the should in favor of what is authentic to her soul in the moment. This mental independence makes her a visionary in her field, as she can see paths that others ignore because they are trapped by fear. In the American market, where originality is valued, this woman becomes an icon of innovation and authentic magnetic leadership. She doesn't follow trends, she creates them simply by being true to her own unique vision of reality. Internal validation is the fuel that keeps her going, even when the whole world seems to disagree with her path or her values. She doesn't need praise to know she's good, nor is she discouraged by criticism from those who don't understand the weight of her healing journey. This detachment from external image is what allows her to take risks and live with an intensity that most people fear. She accepts her mistakes as necessary steps in her evolution, integrating each failure as a valuable lesson in her constant individuation process. For her, life is an alchemical laboratory where each experience is transformed into spiritual gold and applied consciousness. Her authority stems from the consistency between what she thinks, what she feels, and what she does in the physical and social world. People sense this integrity and tend to respect her, even if they disagree with her choices or her direct way of speaking. She doesn't beat around the bush, manipulate information, or use cheap seduction to get what she wants from life or from people. She simply asks, acts, and withdraws if the conditions aren't fair or if the exchange isn't balanced for both sides. This absolute clarity is refreshing and at the same time intimidating for those accustomed to the power games of common relationships. By inhabiting herself, she becomes a channel for higher energies, bringing beauty and harmony to everything she touches, be it a professional project or a home. She understands that her vibration is her greatest asset and that protecting it is her most sacred and inalienable spiritual task in this existence. She does not allow anyone to take her off her center, using discernment to distance herself from frequencies dissonant with her inner peace. She is the personification of the modern woman that Jung envisioned, conscious, powerful, and deeply connected to the divine mystery of life. Have you ever felt that your peace is worth more than being right in an argument? Comment peace if you choose your frequency. The ultimate sign that a woman has reached a high vibration is the almost magical impact her mere presence has on physical and social environments. Jung explained that the psychic energy of an integrated individual has the power to affect the field around them, harmonizing chaos or exposing falsehood. She doesn't need to make speeches or perform heroic acts. The fact that she is present and conscious already alters the dynamics of relationships in the place. Heavy places seem to become lighter, and truths that were hidden tend to emerge before her without any conscious effort. She is a bearer of light who dissolves shadows simply by refusing to inhabit them. People feel compelled to be better or more truthful when they are near her, as if her integrity demands a response of equal measure. However, the opposite is also true. Those who are deeply immersed in falsehood feel unbearable discomfort and seek ways to distance themselves. She acts as a living vibrational filter, cleansing her space of everything that does not resonate with truth and conscious love. In the workplace, this translates into efficiency and clarity, in friendships into depth and loyalty, and in love into commitment and respect. She does not control the environment. She elevates it through her own frequency of being and acting. Her connection with nature and biological rhythms is another aspect of this high vibration that Jung valued as the cure for modern neurosis. She respects her cycles of rest, creation, and silence, not allowing herself to be enslaved by the toxic productivity that the American market often imposes. She discovered that she produces more and better when she is in harmony with herself than when she is at war with time and her ego. This ancestral wisdom applied to modern life makes her a balanced woman who exudes health and vitality even amidst collective stress. She is proof that spirituality and worldly success can and should walk hand in balance. A woman of high vibration does not allow herself to be contaminated by fear-mongering news or collective despair, keeping her vision focused on the possibilities of light. She knows that the external world is a reflection of the inner world and therefore tends to her psychic garden with the utmost zeal and attention. She spreads awareness not through preaching, but by example, showing that it is possible to be free, happy, and sovereign in any circumstance of life. Her impact is silent but profound, leaving seeds of awakening in all hearts that are ready to receive her light. She is one of the 0.01% that Jung said were the pioneers of the evolution of human consciousness on the planet. By inhabiting her high vibration, she becomes a magnet for synchronicity, experiencing meaningful coincidences that facilitate her path and confirm her intuitions. The universe seems to conspire in her favor, bringing the right people and ideal opportunities at the exact moment she is ready. This is not luck. It is the result of being in tune with the cosmic intelligence that governs life and that Jung studied so extensively. She flows with life instead of fighting against it, accepting each challenge as a teacher and each blessing as a gift from her soul. Do you believe your energy can change the situations around you? Sign up to learn how to raise your vibrational frequency. Maintaining a high vibration in a world saturated with low frequencies is a daily challenge that demands constant vigilance and spiritual discipline. The high vibration woman knows that her energy is her responsibility and that she must make conscious choices every day to protect it from chaos. She doesn't delude herself into thinking the work is over. She understands that individuation is a lifelong process requiring continuous renewal. Jung stated that the path to the self is narrow and full of ego traps, and she remains attentive to each one. Her strength lies in her humility to recognize that she always has something new to learn and integrate. She developed daily purification and connection rituals that ensure she doesn't absorb the toxicity of the collective unconscious that surrounds her. Whether through meditation, writing, art, or contact with the earth, she finds ways to return to her sacred center every day. She knows that if she loses her alignment, she loses her compass and her ability to act with clarity and authority in the external world. Therefore, she doesn't compromise her self-care time, treating it as the most important commitment in her busy and productive schedule. She has learned to say no to the world so she can say yes to her soul in a whole and powerful way. The American market, with its frenetic pace, constantly tries to pull her towards anxiety and comparison, but she resists with the firmness of a rock. She knows that her rhythm is unique and that the haste of the ego is the greatest enemy of the wisdom of the self, which provides everything in due time. She does not allow herself to be seduced by easy success that demands the sacrifice of her ethics or inner peace, preferring the longer and more solid path. This integrity attracts high-level partnerships because great souls recognize and seek the security that only a conscious woman can offer. She is the safe harbor amidst the turbulent sea of modern folly and the empty pursuit of external power. Maintaining this frequency also means having the courage to be disliked by those who cannot keep up with her growth and her change of attitude towards life. She accepts the grief of losing old friendships and connections that no longer serve her new state of consciousness and elevated vibration. She understands that detachment is the price of freedom and that one cannot carry the baggage of the past into the palace of the sovereign present. Each farewell is made with gratitude and honor, but with the determination of someone who knows that the future demands new companions on the journey. She walks lightly, for she has learned to let go of what no longer belongs to her heart and her divine mission. High vibration is a state of radical presence, where she inhabits the now with an intensity that dissolves past traumas and anxieties about an uncertain future. She lives each moment as if it were an eternity, finding beauty and meaning in the smallest things of her simple daily routine. This constant gratitude is what keeps the floodgates of abundance open in her life, bringing prosperity to all levels of her being. She is living proof that Jungian psychology is not just theory, but a practical tool for building an extraordinary life. What is the biggest challenge you face in maintaining your peace of mind on a daily basis? Comment so we can help each other. A woman of high vibration leaves a legacy that goes far beyond her professional achievements or her bank account in the United States or anywhere else. Her legacy is the frequency she anchored on the planet, serving as a beacon for other women to also find their way back home to the self. She taught that it is possible to be powerful without being aggressive, to be firm without losing tenderness, and to be free without needing anyone's permission. Her life is a testament to the fact that truth liberates, and that consciousness is the only real power a human being can possess. At the end of her journey, she left not only possessions, she left light and a map to sovereignty. Carl Jung would be proud to see how his concepts are being lived out by women who have decided not to be mere reflections of society, but creators of reality. These women are the healers of the social fabric, bringing back the sacred feminine that has been repressed for centuries by misunderstanding and egoic fear. They are the mothers, leaders, and friends that everyone wants to be around, because their presence heals and their words awaken the best in others. They do not seek glory, for they already inhabit the fullness of being who they were truly born to be on the stage of life. Success, for them, is the peace of a clear conscience and a heart that knows how to love with detachment and honor. If you identified with these signs, know that the universe is calling you to take your place in this select group of high-frequency women. Don't be afraid of solitude, don't fear silence, and categorically refuse to be the lifeboat for those who don't want to swim on their own. Assume your authority, protect your energy, and shine with the intensity of 1,000 suns, because the world needs your authentic light now more than ever. You are the answer to the prayers of a humanity that cries out for truth, for balance, and for a new way of existing. The path of individuation is difficult, but the reward is the freedom to be yourself in your divine totality. Jungian psychology offers us the tools, but only you can have the courage to use them to sculpt your own statue of dignity and power. Every challenge you faced with narcissism, rejection, and pain was the fertilizer that allowed your high vibration to germinate today. Honor your history, but don't be bound by it, for you are much greater than any trauma that tried to define you in your dark past. You are the phoenix that rose from the ashes of mediocrity to fly in the skies of sovereignty and radiant, full consciousness. The future belongs to women who vibrate high and accept nothing less than the absolute truth of the soul. Thank you for joining me on this profound journey through the mysteries of analytical psychology and the rare, superior feminine vibration. May this knowledge serve as the wake-up call your soul needed to never again accept emotional crumbs or cheap validation from the outside world. Always remember, your vibration is your energetic signature in the universe, and it determines everything you attract and everything you manifest on Earth. Walk with your head held high, your heart open, and your consciousness awakened, for you are a masterpiece of Carl Jung in motion. Are you ready to embrace your high vibration and change your life today? Subscribe to the channel to seal your commitment to your evolution.